Alright, so this is the test run for the poker tournament. It's an 11-cent $100 guarantee. It's a little bit bigger than they normally run it. I think it's a $75 guarantee most nights. So this is part of the challenge that I'm doing about 100 tournaments before we deposit. And yeah, so we're gonna play this out in its entirety and see how we do. So the blinds start at 10 and 20. Get the sound on. Okay, there we go. And yeah, so far I don't think I know any of these people, or shouldn't. I've only played this tournament a few times. Played it Thursday night and Friday night. And I thought I would take a shot here and knock one of the tournaments off my list, or off my countdown anyways. So the 11-cent tournaments, and this is basically between, the 11 cents and like the $2 tournaments. They're not free rolls, so they're not the worst players, but they're not good players either. So you have to adjust your strategy a little bit. And right off the bat, we got kings. So the strategy has to be adjusted a little bit. With a free roll, I usually play very, very tight. And in a higher buy-in game, I'll try to splash around a little bit more. This could be a very short video, but we're not going anywhere with kings. If we're running into aces, we're running into aces. Hopefully he has queens. Oh, God. It's such a brutal card. Wow. Oh, 3 kings. Okay. We were pretty committed on the turn. That we got super lucky on. And that was kind of a gross spot. We could have folded the turn. Maybe. I don't give guys a lot of credit in these 11-cent tournaments, because they're going to be, 3-betting 8-7 offsuit. But we got lucky. We did get lucky. Let's put it that way. Let's not try to pretend that we didn't. 27% equity on the turn. So, we weren't drawing stone dead. 10's chop. He had no straights, so 10 chops it, 5 chops it. And a non 7 or 8 that pairs the board wins it for us. A king wins it for us. So we got lucky. Not gonna. Didn't like the situation. I guess we could have bet a little more pre-flop, or maybe just got it on the flop. I don't know. Well, that's one way to double up in the deep stack. We've got almost 300 big blinds now. And we've switched tables, so you're going to get that a lot at this level with excuse me, with so many players going in and out. But yeah, that's kind of the getting back to the whole strategy adjustment. I'm not going to play a lot more hands than I would in a free roll, but I'm not going to shy away from certain pots either. And the strategy will change as we get shorter stacked. We'll definitely be. We won't be calling too many raises and things like that with 20 big blind stacks or whatnot. We're just going to try and play solid poker and see if we can make some money. Eight five offsuit in the big blind. We're probably not going to play this unless we can play it for free. So we definitely have some chips that we can speculate with. I will take some notes on occasion. Mostly at this level, I'm only really interested in like their pre-flop ranges. I don't think that there's too much to be said about whether their donk lead on the flop is strong or weak and things like that. You've really got to get a lot of hands on people before you even start thinking about stuff like that. So really, I just try to focus on their pre-flop ranges, what they're thinking of 3-betting, 4-betting. Ooh. Good night for rivers. Ace 10, this is probably, well, if it gets folded around to us, we got an inactive guy in the small blind. But, no, now we have to call. So we're getting ridiculous odds. 7-1, you gotta call almost anything there. See if we can steal it. Oh, we do. A couple of face cards on the button. If it's cheap enough, I don't mind coming in. That would be the opposite of cheap enough. Limp 20, call 20, raise 51.35. Welcome to the 11 cent Donk Fest. Well, you would have gotten some money from me on the flop. Probably the turn, too. Would have gotten at least a bet. But, I mean, it worked out for him. He got a guy to call off with ace 7. Okay, so I do want to take a note. And I'll show you the notes in just a second here. And this guy I played with a bunch, likes to re-steal with ace-ace. He had a bunch of... He had aces in the big blind. Or, I'm sorry, he had aces out of position. And he busted me out of the tournament last night with Jack Deuce suited. And I had queens, and there were 2 hearts in the flop, and he snap called a 1.5 times pot bet with Jack Deuce of hearts and turned the flush. So, but yeah, the only real notes I had on him was the aces that he played. He's pretty loose. He's 37-19. And I don't think OBS captures... No, it doesn't. It doesn't capture Hold'em Manager overlay. So if there's interesting numbers, we'll talk about them. So anyways, I put limps behind with 4-3 offsuit. That's all that I wrote on him, just so I know that he's probably going to be limping behind with just about anything. And as we move up higher into the buy-ins, the notes will get a little bit more sophisticated, but for these types of games, I just try to keep it very simple. I don't even take notes in free rolls, because I don't think there's really any point. And I just let Hold'em Manager collect data. If we run into these guys again in a $1, $2 tournament or whatever, then we'll have plenty of stats on them. It's been nice getting back into online poker a little bit. I haven't played in a little while, so it's nice to sit and relax on a Saturday night, see what happens. We're betting 30 into 285. And now we're slamming pot, because he has Jack 3 of spades. Ace 5 suited, early position. You can play it if you want. I usually don't. Cash game, I might come in with it, but in a tournament, especially one like this where you know you're just going to get blasted out, you know, if I make it 90, and you know, the next guy's going to make it 500 or something, and I'm not going to play for that. So there's really no reason to get involved with hands that you know are just going to get out of control. I mean, this should be interesting. Jacks, deuces, and 10-7. Wow. This guy runs amazingly well. In the small blind, in the worst position at the table, cold calls a 3-bet. Right? I didn't screw that up, did I? I think he cold called a 3-bet. Let me. Oops, that's the flop. I know this doesn't really show up on the OBS, but so middle position player makes it 3.5 big blinds to 105, gets re-raised almost 4x to 420, and decides to put in almost 10% of his stack with pocket twos. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, we make notes on people and try to use it to our advantage later. Everybody plays differently. And I don't expect people to take an 11-cent tournament seriously. I'm not, like I said, I'm not feverishly taking notes. I'm just kind of casually watching until something happens. Only to see if I can flop a big hand. I also have position. Now we can't call because we got guys 7xing and then 3xing pot. And that's what happens with these big tournaments. You got guys that are trying to win it in the first 10 minutes. Like it's, the first to 20,000 wins. But that's alright. This is what populates these poker sites. You gotta, sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, and hopefully you can catch them and have them make a big mistake into you. And we're comfortable. I mean, we've got, 190 big blinds, so we put in our 6 big blinds to try to snap him off, because he's going to pay off if he hits anything. So, no big deal. No, he's making it 8x to go. And I do want to get some notes on Rory over here. So, just putting a little note on him. And let's make a little note on Poker Player first here that he cold called in position. He's 10 off. Okay, so I think those are good notes. So the reason we have a bankroll, which I mentioned in one of the daily or not daily, but one of the vlogs that I posted, was we ended up bubbling a final table free roll Wednesday, I believe. And we finished 10th for 55 cents. So these are the cheapest tournaments they have. Unfortunately, they only run once a day. I wish they ran on a few of these just to get some volume and get some hands in. But I don't expect to be staying at this level too long. So the blinds are up to 20 and 40. We'll see two more levels. There's a break 55 minutes after the hour, every hour, for about 5 minutes. So while we have some time here, I want to look at that Pocket Kings hand again. Again, I know this won't pop up on OBS, so I'll just tell you what I'm looking at. I want to see... So he shoved 13-10, so we're getting 3.52 to 1 to call, so we only need to be right 22%. And we're getting 27%, and we have 27% equity. So actually, this was a good call. Yeah, we're getting over 3.5 to 1, and we're getting over 3.5 to 1, and we're almost 3 to 1 to make it. So we did okay. I mean, it's thin value. It's certainly thin value, but I think that was okay. 8-5 offsuits against a boat. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into hour-long videos, just in case this runs really long. Plus, I'd like to take the 5-minute break to stretch my legs or grab some water or whatever. Rory blew a tire. He blew 3,000 chips at 2040 in 13 hands. But yeah, we're going to play a pretty ABC style for the most part. So there's no reason to do anything crazy. You see how the action's going. We're going to get our value somewhere. So not even the least bit worried about how this shakes out the first hour or so. We've got plenty of chips. Ooh. So we'll just sit here and play tight and fold our junk. Even with an inactive big blind, there's no reason to go after this. So there isn't too much to talk about with the early levels. There's not a lot of reason to go after anything. There's not antes involved yet. It's a good structure. It's a solid solid structure. I think you get, I mean, especially for 11 cents, you get a lot of play for what you put into it. Late registration is, I believe, 3 hours. 3 hours? 2 hours. 2 hours, but then there's about 10 minutes of breaks. So you're looking, this tournament starts at 7:15 on the East Coast, so you're looking at like 9:25 before late registration closes. Okay, never mind. Thought I had a sneeze. I guess not. Yeah, I think 2 hours and 10 minutes of late registration is a bit excessive for an 11-cent tournament. I could see 2-3 levels maybe. I don't know. I'm not particularly a fan of late registration. But yeah, that's what people like, and that's what gets the guarantees as high as they're going to be. I'm just not even going to contest this. If he wants it, he can have it. And King 9, yeah. I mean, he probably would call a bet on the flop. 2 queens. This is a hand I would love to see the button here make one of his like 400 chip raises and see if we can just get it all in with him. Although this is the hand he busted me with last night, so we are out of position, which is not great. And we're just going to continuation bet. God, what a bad run out. Okay. They don't show you what he had there, but I don't know. I think we got as much value out of that as we're going to get. I mean, what's really going to call a river bet there? A 9? I don't even think he's going to have that. He might have had just a 6. And I don't think he's going to call with that. So I think we're only going to get called by hands that beat us at that point. Well, we picked up 2 decent hands in the first hour, but man, those board rounds have been super scary. And I don't know if we can call a bet on the river. I mean, anything realistic. So the pot was pot was 2160. So if he fires 1500 in there, I don't know what we do. I think it's a fold. I really do. I think it's a fold. And So we've chipped up pretty well. Breaks in about 10 minutes. And I'm going to grab some water. As long as we're still in this, unless we get something really bad happen in the next 9 minutes. But yeah, it's been a good start to the tournament. More than doubled up. And a split pot, as it should be. And this we can play for a raise. It's also a hand that we're probably going to have to fold to a 3-bet, because this does not play well in a 3-bet pot. This is kind of towards the bottom of the range that I would open with from under the gun. It's hard to imagine I don't have an ace here with as tight as I've been playing. But he's going to hold on to bottom pair for dear life. No, he was just calling with 3 clubs on the flop. Okay, so we pretty much know that he's never, ever, ever folding anything on the flop. What are we going to do with these 2 8s? We're out of position. I think I'd just like to check it here, to be honest. And then we're just going to lead out. If somebody has a king, we're going to hear from them. If they don't, 2 colors. And then we just bet for value. Can't imagine he has a... Wow, really? 6? No. Oh, God, are you kidding me? Oh, wow. Unbelievable. Jesus, that's bad. He's just going to call all the way for a 2-outer. And they're going to give it to him. Wow, that's so horrible. And he was going to call a river bet too. He was just... There's no way he's not calling a river bet. God, that sucks. This is how I've run in this tournament the last 3 nights. Like, you just get the money in good, and they just call and call, and... Alright. Such bad play. This guy's not even paying attention. It's the only thing. Sad thing was that was the only other thing I could think of was he doesn't have a 6 there. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, king's up, maybe. I mean, was there anything really he could have with kings up? I mean, he can't have a 6 there. He's too. He doesn't play that many hands. He's not that crazy. And he wouldn't have. Maybe he calls a bet on the flop with pocket 6s. I don't know. Yamahama. Okay. Moving on. Alright. Ace-8. We're just going to fold that. I should actually put a note on him. That he open limps. His middle position with 9s. So his limps are. Excuse me, his limps are pretty strong. And we want to put a note on Yeti. Cold called in position with king 9 suited. Cleaner's been involved in a lot of hands. So should probably take some notes on him. Called in position with ace queen. A lot of this is a little redundant, but sometimes Note Caddy does not put the top 10 things that I want. So I just like to keep these little pre-flop notes that are on the server. Opens from cutoff, ace 10. Okay. Oops. I think that's everything, and I think we're caught up. Oh yeah, Burns was doing a bunch of stuff too, I forgot. Cold calls in position with 9s. Ace king, 3-bet out of position with ace king. Okay, so I'm going to put this on pause, and we will get back to hour number 2 as soon as we start up again.